really believe something is true, then you should be saying it. If you think that you are right, you should be saying it. Okay, granted, in certain circumstances, it's maybe better to be quiet rather than actually air your views. Totally agree with that. However, in your mind and in your set in the way that you live your life should be the values that you hold dear inside you. With my daughter, she knows that I'm very opinionated, always have been opinionated. But I've made it quite clear to her that she has her own mind and she should never be a follower. She should always be the leader of herself. But many people in the world and in our country today, in the UK, tend to want to follow people. Just like the whole COVID situation, where we had a good chunk of the population that enjoyed the fact that the government would tell them what to do and trying to get rid of their own values and their own freedoms because Big Daddy told them to. The likes of the J.K. Rowling cast are basically the same. There is no way in God's green earth that any one of them could have really believed that somehow a man could be a woman and a woman could be a man. That somehow J.K. Rowling is wrong to try and protect women's own spaces. The things that women have been trying to fight for many, many years.
Standing up for women's rights is incoming. I absolutely love this. The biggest weasel of them all, Potter himself, Daniel Radcliffe, has removed his vicious June 2020 statement from the Trevor Project website where he proclaimed that trans women are women, and he's removed that following the UK's landmark Supreme Court ruling. The IT Crowd and Father Ted creator Graham Linehan, who was cancelled for expressing the same views as Rowling, posted on X, "Love it. He's panicking." But other stars are still attempting to spread hatred towards the legendary writer, like Bridgerton star Nicola Coughlan, who said she would go nowhere near the forthcoming HBO TV adaptation of Potter. I'm sure they will get by just fine without you, love. And the deranged ex-newsreader, India Willoughby, who celebrated by posting on X over 1,000 people, many cis women, chanting FUCK-JKR in Parliament Square. This is what we need to do. These weirdos do not represent the overwhelming majority of British women. Let's see if that makes it onto the news. Let women speak, eh? And J.K. Rowling quote tweeted that saying, "Only 1,000? #disappointed."
At the start of this video, I was talking to you about having values, gut instincts and not being a follower, making sure that you're the leader of yourself. But this just proves the total opposite. So the likes of the government and officials throughout this whole country, as well as the world, have followed the trend that they wanted to follow because that's the way they thought they was going to win general elections. Basically using everyone to get what they actually want, which is power. The likes of the Labour Party have now somehow realised that the Supreme Court has said that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. So they're now going to change all the things that they've changed recently in the last 15 years to get back to normality. But to get back to normality, they had to have a court to tell them what is biology.
I welcome the decision by the court to give clarity to women, but also give clarity to service providers going forward, and we welcome that judgment.
When will you be giving that clarity and issuing new guidance on how to apply it in places like hospitals?
Well, the EHRC will be giving that guidance, and they will set that out in due course, but this now gives the clarity that's needed to move forward.
This is now going to prove to you, if you haven't actually had proof already, that politicians are a bunch of liars. What she's about to say now is basically always been a factual statement in reference to men and women. It never should have come to this situation. But the fact that it's got to the UK Parliament for them to change stuff just shows you how bad our country has gone down to and how we really need to fight back to make sure that this never happens again. Just like COVID and this, it continues and we need to keep fighting.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. With permission, I will now make a statement to update the House on the Supreme Court judgment in the case for Women Scotland Limited versus the Scottish Ministers. This ruling brings welcome clarity and confidence for women and service providers.
Clarity. Clarity on what? We always knew what the clarity was. We always knew what the truth was. Every person in that parliament knew what the truth was. 99% of the whole country, if not the whole world, know what the truth was. But the fact that it's in parliament...
Single-sex spaces must be protected. And Madam Deputy Speaker, this is personal to me. Before I was elected to this place, I ran a women's refuge in the North East for women and children fleeing domestic violence.
Question is, did she question this before the Supreme Court? Did she come out with this before to say that she done these refuges? I guarantee she didn't. I guarantee she didn't. It works well for her now.
I know how important it is and always was to survivors to have single-sex spaces based on biology, places of safety after trauma, time in a sanctuary which allowed them therapeutic support, healing from unimaginable male violence and fear. I remember, Madam Deputy Speaker, how hard countless campaigners had to fight over many decades to get any single-sex provision at all, to create women's refuges and to create rape crisis centres.
These people really get on my tits. They really... It's so annoying that they're so patronising. This woman, I don't believe you can show me another clip of this woman saying exactly the same thing before the Supreme Court judgment. Then I'll go back on and I'll say it. But I can guarantee you she never said this stuff before, even though she knew it was a fact before. But she never fought for the women, for the women's only spaces, for women's freedom, women's safety. This woman should be fighting for her own, sex. She knows what could happen, but yet she carried on with the Labour Party, carried on with the nonsense, the evil, it just makes me so angry that these people are in power.
And then later I remember how hard it was to convince commissioners that young homeless women trying to heal from terrifying acts of cruelty shouldn't be left in mixed-sex accommodation.
It's all patronising. It's all rubbish. They're just jumping on the bandwagon now, where before they enjoyed the bandwagon, and even though they were going totally against biology and totally against women's rights, they jumped on that bandwagon, and now the Supreme Court's come out, they're jumping on this bandwagon and saying how fantastic we are because we know that women struggle. Oh, really? Oh, really? This is just... pure insanity, this.
Is the meaning of the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010. Do those terms refer to biological women or biological sex? Or is a woman to be interpreted as extending to a trans woman with a gender recognition certificate? By that I mean a person born male who now possesses a gender recognition certificate amending her gender to female, and sex to be interpreted as including what I will refer to as certificated sex. The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex.
The people that were fighting against these 5 women or 4 or 5 women in Scotland were always talking about biology before and following the science. But when it comes down to it, they were more interested in a piece of paper than the actual science itself. Basically, 5 women fought for 50% of our population. That's gross. That's horrible. And the fact they had to do it is even worse. The fact is that more of us need to start speaking up and doing something about it. So just remember, where you see things wrong, we need to shout it, and shout it louder than the people that are insane. The insane ones don't believe in biology or science, and they tend to be fascists themselves. When they call you fascist, of course, or a racist, or a bigoted, or a transphobe. Doesn't matter, it's all names. and it tends to be who they are. They're projecting to you. The fact is that a woman is a woman and a man is a man. And the fact that the UK had to go to court to prove that is disgusting. So let's keep fighting. Until the next time, thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter too much. Make sure you comment below, make sure you subscribe. Until next time, guys, take care.